Hello everyone, I welcome you all to this news analysis session. These are the articles that are important from today's newspaper. Before we move on to the first article, we will see an inspiring one. A lawyer named Tanya Nathan is set to become Kerala's first visually challenged women judge. She is totally blind, secured first rank among persons with benchmark disabilities in the Kerala Judicial Service examination for civil judge. And another candidate, Joyce Sajan, who was cerebral palsy, secured second rank. She is also academically strong, having secured first rank in LLB from Kannur University. Why is this a landmark moment? This achievement became possible due to a 2025 judgment of the Supreme Court of India. A bench led by Justices Pardiwala and Mahadevan ruled that visually impaired persons cannot be declared unsuitable for judicial service solely due to disability. This judgment removed a long standing barrier and ensured equal opportunity in judicial appointments. The first article for the day, India Malaysia ink pacts to expand strategic ties. So, India and Malaysia have agreed to expand their strategic partnership after talks between prime ministers in Kuala Lumpur. Now, what was decided? Both countries signed 11 agreements to deepen cooperation. Key focus areas include trade and investment, defense and security, energy and advanced manufacturing, semiconductors, and high technology. A major highlight is a framework agreement on semiconductors, which is important for India's manufacturing and technology goals. When you look into security and Indo Pacific relevance, India and Malaysia reaffirmed their commitment to peace and stability in the Indo Pacific. Cooperation will be strengthened in areas such as counter terrorism, intelligence sharing, and maritime security. And India clearly stated its stand on terrorism, no double standards, and no compromise. With respect to economic cooperation, both sides appreciated efforts to use local currencies, Indian rupee and Malaysian ringgit, for bilateral trade. This reduces dependence on the US dollar and supports financial stability. With respect to institutional and diplomatic steps, India announced it will open a consulate general in Malaysia, improving people to people and business ties. Malaysia also supported India's claim for permanent membership of a reformed United Nations Security Council. See, while studying about India and Malaysia, also look into the Strait of Malacca, which is very important. Strait of Malacca, it is between Malay Peninsula and the Sumatra Island of Indonesia. You should also know about the Act East policy of India, which is very important for prelims. The next article for the day, question and answer. Now, what is the issue discussed in this article? The issue is that the Lok Sabha adopted the motion of thanks to the President's address without the Prime Minister replying to the debate, which goes against established parliamentary convention. The Prime Minister's reply is essential because it is the final step through which the executive is held accountable to Parliament. Without this reply, the debate remains incomplete. See, however, an explanation was given by the speaker that there were credible inputs about possible unexpected actions by opposition MPs that could pose a risk to the Prime Minister. And this explanation became controversial. It is controversial because MPs are expected to debate, not physically threaten. Assuming danger from elected MPs inside Parliament undermines the dignity and trust of parliamentary democracy. And no formal resolution was passed to close the debate without the PM's reply. Now, why is this issue important for democracy? Parliament is meant to be the primary forum for discussing sensitive and contentious issues, including national security. Blocking debate or avoiding replies weakens legislative oversight, transparency, and trust in democratic institutions. The next article for the day, a social media ban will not save our children. See, recently we saw an incident where three minor sisters died by suicide, majorly because of screen addiction. Now, the question here is social media harmful? Research from across the world shows that heavy social media use is linked to anxiety and depression, self harm tendencies, body image issues, especially among teenage girls. Even though most studies are not India specific, the risk is real and cannot be ignored. Now, why banning social media is a bad idea for India? First, bans do not work in practice. Children easily bypass age bans using VPNs. This can push them from regulated platforms to unsafe, unmoderated spaces, increasing risks for grooming and extremism. Age verification can also lead to mass surveillance. Second, social media is not only harmful, it is also a lifeline. For rural children, youth, disabled teens, and those in conservative families, social media offers support, identity, and community. Third, there is a democratic problem. Policies are made without consulting children, even though they are the most affected. Fourth, bans worsen gender inequality. Only about one third of Indian women use the internet. In patriarchal households, a ban will likely mean girls losing digital access completely, harming education and social mobility. What should be done instead? Move away from blanket bans and censorship under the IT Act 2000. Introduce strong digital competition laws. Impose a legal duty of care on big tech platforms. Create an independent expert regulator, not political control. Fund India specific research on children, mental health, and technology. And finally, involve young people directly in policy making. What about artificial intelligence? The concern should not stop with social media. AI chatbots are already being used by children for emotional advice. Early studies show risks like weakened critical thinking and mental harm. Regulation must be consistent across technologies. A social media ban gives the illusion of action, but it avoids real responsibility. What children need is not removal from technology, but a healthy and well regulated digital environment that balances safety, rights, and opportunity. The next article for the day, Myanmar's military scripted elections and India's strategic dilemma. See, 5 years after the 2021 military coup, Myanmar's military held elections recently. The military backed Union Solidarity and Development Party won as expected. However, these elections lacked credibility because voting happened only in 265 of 330 townships. Most rural areas were excluded due to resistance control, and major opposition parties were dissolved, and opposition leaders remained jailed. And voter turnout fell sharply, showing public rejection, and it is not apathy. Now, why are these elections problematic? Myanmar is still in active civil conflict. Thousands killed and arrested since the coup. Resistance groups control large territories, and violence is expected to continue despite elections. So, these polls do not restore democracy or stability. Now, why does this matter for India? This is important for us. Myanmar is a strategic neighbor and vital for India's Act East policy. India faces three major concerns. First, border security and refugees. Myanmar shares a long border with India's northeast. Over 90,000 Myanmar refugees are currently in Mizoram and Manipur, and continued instability worsens internal security and humanitarian stress. Second, connectivity and development projects. Key projects like Kaladan Multimodal Transit Transport Project, India Myanmar Thailand Trilateral Highway are delayed due to insecurity affecting India's regional integration plans. Third, non traditional security threats. Weak control in Myanmar has led to drug trafficking, human trafficking, and cyber scam and cyber slavery networks. Thousands of Indians have already been rescued from scam centers. How has India responded to all these things? India has taken a balanced approach. Publicly supports free, fair, and inclusive democracy, avoids endorsing the military run elections, continues limited engagement to protect strategic interests, and provides humanitarian assistance, including during the 2025 earthquake. And India has also maintained diplomatic contact without political legitimization. So, Myanmar's election has not solved the crisis. For India, the challenge is clear: balance democratic principles with strategic pragmatism while managing security, connectivity, and humanitarian concerns with a deeply unstable neighbor. See, while looking into the map of Myanmar, look into Rakhine Mountains, Chin Hills, Irrawaddy River, Patkai Range. then Mount Hakabo, all these details, Shan Plateau, look into all these things. Okay, there is something known as Gulf of Martaban. Look into that also. See the next article for the day. Why did Claude's plugins spook markets? See, Anthropic released 11 open source plugins for Claude Cowork, an AI workplace system. Unlike normal chatbots, Claude Cowork can independently read files, draft documents, review contracts, and run full workflows in law, finance, sales, and compliance. Soon after, Anthropic released this Claude Opus 4.6, which can coordinate multiple AI agents for tasks like financial research. Markets reacted with panic. Global software stocks fell sharply. Nearly $285 billion in market value was wiped out. In India, the Nifty fell nearly 6% in a single day, and major IT firms like TCS and Infosys fell over 7%. The fear was simple. One AI agent may replace entire teams. There was this keyword known as Saspocalypse. The term Saspocalypse was coined by the Jeffries Group, which means AI may replace software itself, not just improve it. The traditional software is sold per user. If AI agents work autonomously, fewer humans are needed, reducing software revenue. And that's the reason this Claude's plugin spooked the markets. The next article for the day, linguistic cultural markers can solve caste enumeration riddle. See, India plans to conduct its next census in 26-27, including caste enumeration. However, the government has not yet announced the method for counting castes. Earlier efforts faced problems. The 2011 socio-economic caste census used open-ended caste names and returned over 46 lakh entries. Bihar's caste survey used a prefixed list, raising concerns of exclusion. Now, what solution was suggested in this article? See, this article suggests an open ended approach which is supported by post census scientific analysis. Instead of fixing caste lists beforehand, people should write what they believe is their caste and allow experts to later analyze the data using linguistic and cultural markers. See, how will this work? For example, in 2011, the census recorded 19,000 mother tongues. After scrutiny for duplication, spelling variation, and grammar, this was refined to 1,369 languages. So, this article suggests applying the same layered scrutiny to caste data using language, ancestry, lifestyle, marriage, and kinship patterns. Institutions like the Anthropological Survey of India can certify community linkages. See, this article talks about Thwaites Glacier, and it is one of the most important glaciers in the world because it has a major influence on future sea level rise. First, it is huge, roughly the size of a large country, and is located in West Antarctica. Scientists often call it the Doomsday Glacier because of the risk it poses if it collapses. Second, the glacier rests on land that slopes downward inland and lies below the sea level. This allows warm ocean water to flow underneath its floating ice shelf and melt it from below. The ice shelf acts like a support or brake, slowing the glacier's movement into the ocean. As this shelf thins or breaks, the glacier speeds up, losing more ice. And studies show that Thwaites is already thinning, retreating, and adding to sea level rise. So look into the map where the Thwaites Glacier is present. What is this Amundsen Sea? And there is something known as the Pine Island Bay. And there is Berkey Island, Mount Sidley. Look into the map. So that's all for today. Thank you all for joining.